high blood pressure, hypertension is not a disease. It's a symptom. 90% of hypertension is a known cause. Well, today I'm going to tell you what the cause is. When you start telling people that 90% of hypertension is unknown, you make the drug companies rich because you turn the person into an ATM for certain medications. It's very profitable if you don't let people know what the primary cause is. Let me show you what the primary cause is. Okay, so here we have an artery. You have a certain layer, it's called the endothelial layer of cells. That cell layer has these little tiny receptors for insulin. And insulin triggers something that causes the artery to relax. When that receptor becomes damaged, you get high blood pressure. But the problem is, if you fix insulin resistance, sometimes it doesn't lower the blood pressure. The question is why? Because when you damage that receptor, the receptor won't let insulin in anymore. Now it's really hard to regulate and relax the blood vessels. Also, insulin causes too much calcium to go inside the cells. And this is why they use calcium channel blockers. The cause is insulin resistance. That's ignored because, like I said before, 90% of hypertension is unknown cause. So that's very interesting, but let me just give you a little bit more data. There is normally supposed to be a little protective shield around that endothelium, that layer. It's kind of like something on your frying pan that is a non-stick surface. And when that substance becomes damaged, then we get damage directly to cells, and then you start having a cascade of issues where you get holes into the area, you get inflammation, calcium buildup, excess clotting. What's that little protective shield? The glycocalyx. And that glycocalyx is super vulnerable to getting damaged from too much glucose or fructose. And it's kind of weird that a sugar actually destroys sugar, but it does. So when the sugar is too high or there's too much starch, you start getting this rusting out of that layer. It's like acid rain. It goes in there, it dissolves it very quickly. And without it, you get a lot of damage inside that artery, especially hypertension. And I'm going to talk about that. But I first want to talk about some other things because insulin resistance also creates serious deficiencies of other nutrients that if you don't fix those, it's going to take a long time to get your blood pressure lowered. So I'm going to recommend a combination of two different things to fix your hypertension very, very fast. Going on a low carb diet and doing intermittent fasting. And I'm going to also put the link down below of how to do that correctly. At the same time, we want to get the blood pressure down very, very quickly. So there's several things to add to the low carb diet. Number one is vitamin D, but you must take at least 10 to 20, sometimes 30,000 IUs of vitamin D3 every single day to reestablish this. Second thing is magnesium. Magnesium glycinate is the one I recommend. Magnesium helps take the calcium out of the place where it shouldn't be and help to balance out the calcium to magnesium ratios, because what you need to know is calcium causes contraction, magnesium causes relaxation. Plus, magnesium is going to help vitamin D to work. In fact, vitamin D won't work without magnesium, and magnesium won't work without vitamin D. They're both really, really important, especially with hypertension. Plus, magnesium reduces cortisol and adrenaline. Magnesium also has anti-inflammatory properties, and magnesium helps reestablish that little layer, that protective glycocalyx. The next nutrient that is important is potassium, and I would recommend taking a good amount of potassium. You can get potassium supplements in 1,000 milligrams per serving size. But what potassium does is it directly helps to fix that glycocalyx as well. And potassium reduces the sodium, and potassium directly lowers blood pressure because it helps to relax the smooth muscle. And then the last thing you need to really get the blood pressure down is to increase your sulfur. Sulfur is going to help reestablish this protective sugar coating glycocalyx. But I wouldn't take it in a supplement. I would get it from food. One of the best sources of sulfur is grass-fed red meat. Eggs also are loaded with sulfur, but it's pretty wild that some people will tell you that, oh, you don't want to have eggs or red meat for blood pressure because it has cholesterol and blah, blah, blah. When in fact, the red meat and eggs will totally turn this thing around. So to fix insulin resistance, we want to avoid too much carbohydrate. We want to avoid, of course, sugar, starch. We want to avoid seed oils because that can create inflammation. Also make sure when you're doing this, you do not have like the hidden carbohydrates. So in other words, I would really keep a food log and monitor your carbohydrates. You want to keep them really, really low without cheating for a period of time. Sometimes it takes some weeks. and then you're going to start to see it come down. I would highly recommend getting a home blood pressure kit so you can test yourself throughout the day and monitor this. And on a rare occasion, you'll see maybe the bottom number start coming down, but the top number might not come down. The top number is primarily a problem with the sympathetic nervous system. So sometimes you need to focus more on your stress by getting enough sleep, doing long walks, sometimes to take ashwagandha, or maybe even more magnesium before bed. I've just given you a really powerful solution for hypertension. You have to try it. Go ahead and then comment down below in the comments, and thanks for watching. Hey, before you leave, I just wanted to give you a little quick history on some of the books that I wrote. This was one of the first books. It's called Dr. Berg Body Shapes. It was my attempt at writing about body types. What was very interesting about this book is I actually did all the images myself. Don't ask me why. They look actually not quite as professional as some of the images that I have in the new book. But anyway, this is my first attempt right here called Dr. Berg's Body Shape Diets. And then I wrote a book more extensive called The 7 Principles of Fat Burning. I don't even have a copy anymore, actually, because it's outdated. The next book, I put about 1,000 hours into this one right here called The New Body Type Guide. Major updates on the body types. I put a lot of energy into this. It has professional images, graphics, all sorts of things. Now, the problem with this book is it doesn't really describe what this is really about. Body types are only a small portion of what's in this book. And that's why I changed the name to the Healthy Keto Plan, okay? If you happen to have this book, you don't really need this book because there's only very, very minor updates. But if you don't have this, you need to get this one right here. This book goes into every single detail that you would ever want to know about. It goes into the 7 principles of fat burning. It goes into hormones, the body types, the basic keto plan. It goes into intermittent fasting. I talk about the 10 fat-burning triggers and blockers and fat-burning strategies with a lot of details in every single chapter. I go into body issues that interfere with losing weight. There's very few people that just have a weight problem. They have a lot of body issues, whether it's sleeping problems, stress problems, inflammation, menopause. I cover that extensively in this book. Then I talk about how to get rid of stress, and I show you a technique. Then I get into exercising. And then I have a lot of really good recipes in this book as well. So this is a good reference guide. On my website, if you get this book, you get this one free. It's called Healthy Keto and Intermittent Fasting. This is the shortcut, quick guide to this book. And the reason I created this book is to have you, within 45 minutes, learn how to do keto, okay, in intermittent fasting, exactly what you need to do. Then you can fill in the blanks with this book right here. So right now I'm doing a special. If you get this book, you get this one totally free, or you can go to Amazon and get these individually. So I just want to clarify the difference between this book and this updated one right here. If you don't have this, you need to get this right here. That way you can get the exact correct information to do it healthily.